Imagine you're floating in deep space with a cup of coffee. No gravity, no up or down, just you and this rebellious little blob of liquid. You give the cup a gentle twist and the coffee starts to swirl. Nothing surprising there, you twisted it, it spins. 'Cause in effect, nice and tidy. But now suppose you didn't twist it. Suppose nobody ever touched the coffee. Nobody touched anything. No cosmic spoon, no giant finger flicking galaxies like marbles. And yet everywhere we look in the universe, things are spinning anyway. The Earth spins. The moon orbits while spinning. The sun spins. The entire solar system is whirling around the galaxy, which itself is rotating like a colossal pinwheel. Even clouds of gas in space, the raw material for future stars, are slowly turning. Hurricane spin, water down a drain spins, tornado spin. Your own body contains molecules tumbling, atoms jiggling, and deep inside those atoms, particles that have a property we actually call spin, even though it's not quite like a tiny top twirling. So here's the puzzle that should make you a little uncomfortable. Where did all that spinning come from? Because in physics, we don't just get to shrug and say, well, things like to spin. The universe doesn't run on vibes. There are rules. And one of the strictest rules in all of nature is about something called angular momentum, the quantity that measures how much spin or rotation something has. And the strange thing about angular momentum is that you don't get to just create it out of nowhere. It's conserved. That means the total amount doesn't change unless something from outside interferes. But what's outside the universe? See the trouble. If everything we see is spinning, and spin can't just appear from nothing, then somehow the spin we see today must trace all the way back to the very beginning. And here's the kicker, the early universe, as far as we can tell, was almost perfectly smooth. No giant cosmic hand cranking it like a toy. No preferred direction marked with a big arrow saying, rotate this way. So how did a universe that started off nearly uniform end up full of whirling galaxies, spinning stars, twirling planets, and particles with built-in spin? That's the mystery. And the fun part is that the answer isn't just one thing. It's a stack of ideas, each one a little surprising, that lock together like gears. Let's start with a simple trick you can try right in your kitchen, or you could, if kitchens behaved like space. Take a lump of pizza dough, toss it up and give it a twist. As it spins, it flattens out into a disk. That's not a coincidence. Rotation has a funny habit of turning blobs into disks. That's why galaxies look like spirals and why solar systems form in flat planes. Spin organizes chaos, but that still doesn't tell us where the spin came from in the first place. So let's do a thought experiment. Picture a gigantic, cold cloud of gas drifting in space. It's not perfectly still, nothing ever is. The atoms are moving randomly, bumping into each other. Some parts of the cloud are a little denser than others, just by chance. Gravity starts pulling those denser regions together. Now here's the subtle part. Even if the cloud on average has no overall rotation, the tiny motions of its parts are not perfectly balanced in every little region. One side might have slightly more motion one way, another side slightly more the other way. These are tiny, messy, random differences. But gravity doesn't care about tidy symmetry, it amplifies whatever it's given. As the cloud collapses under gravity, it shrinks. And when something that has even the tiniest bit of rotation shrinks, it spins faster. You've seen an ice skater do this, arms out, slow spin, arms in, fast spin. Same skater, same angular momentum, different speed, conservation in action. So those tiny, almost laughably small initial twists in the gas get magnified as the cloud contracts. What started as a barely noticeable drift becomes a real rotation. The cloud flattens into a spinning disk. Clumps form. A star ignites in the middle. Planets condense from the disk, all orbiting and spinning in roughly the same direction, like cosmic crumbs caught in a whirlpool. No master plan. No cosmic drill sergeant shouting, left face, rotate. Just gravity taking tiny accidents and turning them into structure. But wait, it gets weirder. Because even if you imagine rewinding the movie further back, before stars, before galaxies, back when the universe was just hot plasma, the same logic applies. The early universe wasn't perfectly smooth. It was almost smooth with tiny fluctuations in density. Those little irregularities were enough. As matter gathered, angular momentum naturally emerged in local regions, always balanced by opposite rotations elsewhere, so that the grand total could still be zero. That's an important point. The universe as a whole might not be spinning at all. It could have zero total angular momentum. But inside it, you can have one region spinning one way and another region spinning the opposite way, like two kids on swivel chairs pushing off each other. The system as a whole hasn't gained any spin, but each part is whirling like mad. So when you see a galaxy rotating, you shouldn't imagine the entire universe was once twisted like a jar lid. It's more like a giant cosmic dance where partners spin in opposite directions, keeping the books balanced. Now let's zoom in much smaller, because nature loves to repeat themes at different scales. Inside atoms, electrons have something called spin. If you picture a tiny charged sphere literally spinning, you'll get into trouble pretty fast. The math says the surface would have to move faster than light, so it's not that kind of spin. It's an intrinsic property, more like a built-in angular momentum that doesn't come from parts moving around in space. And yet even here, the rule still holds angular momentum is conserved. When particles interact, they exchange spin the way dancers exchange momentum on a dance floor. The bookkeeping is exact. Nature never forgets a single unit, so we have this strange picture. From the largest galaxies to the smallest particles, rotation is everywhere. Not because the universe prefers spinning aesthetically, but because of deep symmetries in the laws of physics. The rules don't change if you rotate your experiment. Space has no built-in this way up, and from that simple symmetry comes a conservation law's angular momentum must be preserved. That's the mind-bending part. The fact that things spin is not an added feature. It's the flip side of the universe not caring about orientation, because the laws are the same in every direction. Spin becomes a kind of currency that can't be forged or destroyed, only traded. So the next time you see water spiral down a drain or watch the slow rotation of the night sky, you're not just looking at motion. You're seeing the echo of one of the deepest principles in nature, a principle that links a ballerina pulling in her arms, a forming star, and a subatomic particle in exactly the same mathematical whisper. And if you follow that whisper far enough, it starts to say something even stranger about why time seems to have a direction, why structures form instead of everything staying smeared out, and why a universe that began almost featureless ends up full of spinning worlds where creatures can sit around wondering about it. Want me to keep going? Good. Because this is where the story stops being just about things twirling and starts being about why twirling is practically unavoidable if the universe is allowed to be even slightly imperfect. Let's go back to that giant cloud of gas in space, the one minding its own business before gravity starts meddling. It's tempting to imagine it sitting there perfectly still, like a posed photograph. But that's not how nature does things. Temperature means motion. Even a cold cloud in space has atoms zipping around in all directions. Not fast by everyday standards, but fast enough that stillness is just an illusion created by averages. Now, here's a neat little mental experiment. Take a bunch of tiny balls bouncing around inside a big invisible balloon. They're going every which way. If you could freeze time and draw little arrows for their velocities, it would look like a mess, arrows pointing left, right, up, down, diagonally, a whole porcupine of motion. On average, all those arrows might cancel, so the balloon as a whole isn't drifting anywhere. But averages hide secrets. Suppose just by chance, a few more particles on the left side happen to be moving slightly upward, and a few more on the right side slightly downward. Nothing dramatic. If you look quickly, you'd say, yeah, random? But that tiny imbalance means that, taken together, there's a little bit of circulation, a hint of rotation hiding in the chaos. Gravity comes along like an overenthusiastic organizer. It pulls everything inward. As the balloon shrinks, those random motions don't disappear. They get squeezed into a smaller space. And when motion with even a slight sideways component gets pulled inward, it naturally turns into rotation. Falling plus sideways motion equals orbit. That's one of the great tricks of gravity. You can try a crude version of this with a rubber band and a washer. Tie the washer to a string, hold the string, and give the washer a sideways flick. Instead of flying straight away, it curves around you. The inward pull from your hand and the sideways motion combine into a circular path. That's orbit in a nutshell. If the pull gets stronger, like when a gas cloud collapses, the path tightens and the rotation speeds up. So gravity doesn't just gather matter, it converts messy, random jiggling into organized spinning. It's like taking a room full of people wandering aimlessly, and by shrinking the room, forcing them into a coordinated dance whether they plan to or not. But here's the delightful twist. You don't need much to start with. The tiniest initial angular momentum, so small you'd never notice it, is enough. Because as the size shrinks, the rotation rate grows dramatically. There's a simple rule hiding here: angular momentum depends on how fast something rotates and how far its mass is spread out. Pull the mass inward, and to keep the total angular momentum the same, the rotation must speed up. That's the ice skater story again, but now it's a cloud the size of a solar system becoming a star the size of 1,000,000 Earths. The scale changes, the rule doesn't. And this flattening into a disk, that's another consequence of spin that shows up everywhere. Random motions up and down get damped out by collisions. Gas particles bump into each other, radiate away energy as light, and gradually settle into the plane where the rotation is easiest. Motion perpendicular to the spin axis gets smoothed out, motion around the axis sticks around. The result is a pancake, a cosmic one. That's why Saturn has rings. That's why our solar system is mostly flat. That's why spiral galaxies look like giant frisbees with glowing sprinkles. Rotation plus gravity plus a way to lose energy equals disk. It's practically a recipe. Now let me poke at your intuition a bit. You might think rotation is some special, delicate thing that requires careful setup. But in a way, not rotating is what's delicate. Perfect non-rotation would mean every little bit of matter has exactly the right motion to cancel every other bit's tendency to swirl. That's like throwing a billion coins in the air and having them all land stacked in a single neat tower. Possible in principle, sure. In practice, forget it. Randomness naturally produces little swirls. And once gravity starts amplifying differences, those swirls become the seeds of stars and galaxies. There's another lovely example closer to home weather. The Earth's atmosphere is just a fluid wrapped around a spinning planet. Warm air rises, cold air sinks, pressure differences push things around. But because the Earth is rotating, moving air gets deflected. That deflection helps turn straight line flows into spirals, hurricanes, cyclones, vast rotating systems you can see from space. No one wins up a hurricane with a key. It's born from uneven heating, moisture, and the fact that the Earth is already spinning. Rotation sneaks into the story whether you invited it or not. And the same mathematics that describes a spinning storm cloud also describes a spinning galaxy, just with different numbers plugged in. That's one of the pleasures of physics, wildly different things sharing the same underlying script. Now, at this point you might say, okay, I buy that once you've got a little rotation, gravity can crank it up. But where did the very first little bit come from? Why weren't the motions perfectly arranged so there was no net swirl anywhere? Now we're getting into the really deep water. Because to answer that, we have to talk about symmetry and how the universe almost respects it, but not quite. Perfect symmetry would mean no preferred directions, no lumps, no spins, no structure. Just a bland cosmic soup forever. But the real universe has tiny imperfections baked in from the start. Density slightly higher here, slightly lower there. Motions not perfectly balanced. These tiny asymmetries are enough. They're like microscopic biases in a coin that, when flipped enough times, lead to noticeable patterns. What's astonishing is that the laws of physics don't smooth these differences away. Under gravity, they grow. The universe is a machine for turning small irregularities into big, dramatic structures. Galaxies are the grown-up versions of baby fluctuations. And wherever matter gathers and moves under gravity, angular momentum bookkeeping kicks in. Bits trade spin with other bits. Some regions end up rotating one way, others the opposite. Add it all up over everything, and the grand total might still be zero. Nature's account's perfectly balanced, but locally, it's a festival of whirling motion, so spin isn't an add-on feature of the universe. It's what naturally happens when you have motion, gravity, and even the tiniest deviation from perfect symmetry. Stillness and non-rotation are the rare, fragile states. Rotation is the robust, inevitable one, and we've only been talking about ordinary matter so far: gas, stars, planets. We haven't yet touched the stranger kind of spin, the kind that doesn't come from stuff literally moving in circles through space. The kind that's built into the very identity of particles themselves. Alright, now we go from things that spin because they're made of parts to things that spin even though they don't have parts in the way you'd expect. Up to now, we've been talking about rotation you can picture. Clouds collapse, disks form, planets orbit, galaxies whirl. You can draw little arrows and circles and feel like you've got a handle on it. But when physicists say an electron has spin, they're using a familiar word for something that is, frankly, outrageous. If an electron were literally a tiny charged sphere spinning like a toy top, the math would demand that its surface move faster than light to produce the observed magnetic effects. That's a big red flag. Nature's way of saying, nice try, but don't picture it that way. So what is this spin? It's angular momentum without a spinning object, a built-in twist in the rules themselves. The electron behaves as if it carries a little unit of rotation that can point this way or that way when you measure it. It has all the right bookkeeping properties of angular momentum. It can be transferred, added, subtracted in interactions. But there's no little surface you could grab onto and stop from turning. This was one of those moments in physics where experiment dragged theory into weird territory by the collar. Spectral lines in atoms were splitting in ways that screamed, "There's extra angular momentum in here somewhere?" And eventually the answer was the particles themselves carry it intrinsically. Now here's the part that ties back to everything else we've been talking about. Why should particles have this intrinsic spin at all? It turns out to be connected to the deep symmetries of space and time. If the laws of physics look the same after you rotate your experiment, and they do as far as we can tell, then nature allows, and in a sense requires, entities that transform in special ways under rotations. Some objects come back to themselves after one full turn. Some, like electrons, need 2 full turns, 720 degrees, before they're truly the same quantum state again. That's not poetry. That's what the equations say, and experiments back it up. So intrinsic spin is not an afterthought. It's woven into the mathematical structure that says physics doesn't care how you orient your lab. The very indifference of the universe to direction gives rise to this hidden, quantized form of angular momentum, and just like before, it's conserved. When particles collide, their spins combine with their orbital motion in exquisitely precise ways. There's a strict accounting system. Nature runs a tighter ship than any bank, so from the biggest spirals of galaxies down to the tiniest electrons, rotation, or something that plays the same mathematical role is everywhere. That's already pretty wild. But now let's pull back even further, because the story doesn't just explain why things spin. It hints at why the universe has structure at all, and maybe even why time feels like it flows in one direction. A spinning system is not in its lowest possible energy state if it can get rid of energy while keeping angular momentum. That's why collapsing gas clouds flatten into disks and shed heat as light. They radiate away energy but keep their spin. The result is organized structure instead of featureless blobs. In a sense, angular momentum acts like a constraint that forces matter to form interesting shapes. It can't just fall straight in, it has to go around. That going around creates orbits, disks, rings, spirals, the architecture of the cosmos. And here's a subtle thing: while angular momentum is conserved, energy can leak away as radiation. Light carries energy, and it can carry angular momentum too. But often systems lose energy faster than they lose spin. So over time, matter settles into rotating, structured configurations. The universe cools, but it doesn't stop whirling. Spin helps lock in complexity. Now think about time. The basic microscopic laws mostly don't care whether time runs forward or backward. Run the equations in reverse and they still work. But the large-scale universe clearly has a direction. Stars form, burn and die, hot things cool down, eggs scramble, but don't unscramble. Part of that story is entropy, the tendency toward disorder. But gravity and angular momentum complicate the picture in a beautiful way. Gravity takes nearly uniform matter and makes clumps. Angular momentum prevents those clumps from collapsing into featureless points, giving them shape and motion. The result is a universe that becomes more structured in some ways even as entropy overall increases. So the arrow of time we experience, the sense that things evolve, that there's a history written into the sky, is tied up with these processes. Tiny initial irregularities grow. Matter falls, spins up, lights up as stars. Heavy elements get forged in stellar furnaces, blown out, recycled into planets, and eventually, people who can ask annoying questions about why everything spins. If the early universe had been perfectly symmetric, perfectly still in every local sense, there would be no galaxies, no stars, no chemistry, no life. Just a smooth fog forever. It's the tiny asymmetries, amplified by gravity and sculpted by angular momentum, that make a dynamic cosmos possible. So when you look at the night sky and see the slow wheeling of constellations, you're not just watching celestial clockwork. You're seeing the visible trace of deep symmetries and conservation laws, of quantum properties baked into matter, of ancient fluctuations stretched across billions of light years. Spin is the universe's way of remembering its rules. Every rotating planet, every orbiting moon, every swirling galaxy is a line in a grand ledger that has been balanced since the beginning. The numbers can move around, change hands, shift forms, from the orbital motion of gas to the intrinsic spin of particles to the polarization of light streaming across space, but the total is watched with absolute fidelity. And out of that strict accounting comes motion, structure, and the possibility of complexity. A universe that might have been a dull, static haze instead becomes a place full of cycles, seasons, tides, days and nights, rhythms born from rotation, which means that your own sense of time, measured by the turning Earth and the orbiting planet, is quietly rooted in the same deep principle that governs an electron spin. Your day exists because a cloud of gas, billions of years ago, had the slightest hint of a twist, not a bad payoff for a tiny imperfection.